Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video today. And what I thought I would do, it was an absolutely fantastic suggestion that was given to me actually in the comments section of the last video, so very many thanks. If you ever do want any video to be shown on here, please do let me know your thoughts, and often if there's nothing else to cover, then I'll always look to do something. And today I'm going to be going over the current injury list with Barcelona, because technically we currently have around 6 players right now on the injury table trying to get back fit, and we're just going to be taking a look in today's video at how long it's going to be until we see some of these guys back on the pitch. Some of them actually returned to training today, coincidentally enough, and we're just going to be having a look at what the situation is, particularly this game against Valencia coming up. We're a bit short in midfield, we're a bit short at centre-back, of course, with Piqué suspended, so we just want to have a look at the current injuries and how things are moving along, particularly as well, of course, with our record signing, Ousmane Dembele. But we're going to start with the sort of less serious injuries that we currently have at the club, and I want to start first of all with a very curious case, and that is simply Arda Turan. Currently this season, 0 appearances for the club so far, and he is apparently on the injury list. But what I think is right now, nobody knows what's wrong with him, nobody knows when he's going to come back, nobody even knows if he ever is going to come back. I think the club, personally, don't want to play him. Valverde has absolutely no intention of playing him in any squads, and I think, to be honest, Arda Turan is happy to sit there, not play any football, and pick up his absolutely massive wages. He's reportedly earning 100,000 euros a week at the club, and he's happy to do nothing for that. I think the club are sort of too high on their stealth to admit that they want to sort of freeze out a player who's on that kind of wages, brought in for a massive transfer fee, and for that reason they're saying he's injured. Arda Turan is happy to accept it, and he's saying as well, oh yeah, I'm injured, but I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think Valverde simply doesn't want to play him. We don't want Arda at the club, we want him to leave, we're trying to force him out, and he's very happy to accept that. He could move on in January, but right now he's doing nothing. He's sitting probably in the stands, probably at home, doing not a lot at all. But I don't think he's injured, but I think we're very, very unlikely to see him at Barcelona for this season in its entirety. Up next, we've got Sergio Roberto, who was unfortunately injured in that game against Olympiacos. He came off, and it was a lot more serious actually than I expected at the time. He came off with a hamstring injury. So far this season, he's appeared in 16 games in total, 9 in the league, 4 in the Champions League, 2 in the Super Cup at the start of the season, and also 1 in the Copa del Rey. And coincidentally enough, he returned today to first team training. He was pictured back in training with the squad. As of yet, it's unknown whether he's going to be ready to make that trip against Valencia, but he should be back in the fold in the very, very near future. Obviously, after a bit of an injury like this, it was a hamstring strain, so you don't really want to aggravate it, you don't want to do too much too quickly, but he is going to ease himself back in. Hopefully, we should see him back in the first team picture very, very shortly indeed. And he sort of returned a bit further before schedule, really. He wasn't expected back until probably early next month, but of course players these days, they got fantastic treatment. They're always doing their best to try and get back early if it is possible without aggravating anything, and Sergio Roberto seems to have done that. Thankfully, he's back in training today. And a very similar story indeed for Andre Gomes. He too is pictured today in first team training, and he has officially returned now from also a hamstring injury. Both him and Sergio Roberto suffered those injuries in the same game. It was a really strange occurrence. Andre Gomes didn't even play that many minutes against Olympiacos, but he still managed to pick up that little niggly injury. He's made 11 appearances so far this season, 5 in the league, 4 in the Champions League, 1 in the Super Cup, and 1 in the Copa del Rey as well. And he is back in training today with the first team. Again, just like Sergio Roberto, he's probably back a little bit before schedule, but he's doing well, and again, is in contention to play if he can make it against Valencia. But more likely than not, it's going to be the game after where we're going to try and ease them back in. Maybe that match in the Copa del Rey could be a good time to get some minutes under their belt as they return from these kind of injuries. But good to see both of those back in training. The more options that we can have in the squad, the better for Ernesto Valverde. Now on to Javier Mascherano, who is injured, of course, on international duty with Argentina, and that was in a friendly match as well. So it's always really, really frustrating when players are picking up those kind of injuries in games that really don't count for anything at all. So it was really disappointing to see Mascherano get injured, and even more than that, now with our situation with Piqué suspended, Vermaelen not really able to count on him too much without getting injured, of course, we needed Mascherano available, and it's a really disappointment that he can't really be on the pitch right now. So far this season, he's played in 10 games in total, 6 in the league, 2 in the Champions League, 1 in the Super Cup, and also 1 in the Copa del Rey as well. The injury that he picked up with Argentina was a muscle injury, and he is expected back about midway through next month. He's going to be out for still a few more weeks yet. He only just picked up the recently, like I say, in that international break, so he's still trying to get back to fitness. He's recovering well, and he should be back about midway through next month. So before the Clasico, that was reportedly what he was targeting. He's going to be back just in case case we need him, of course. Every time he's played this season for me, I think he's done really well. He's come into the squad, he's looked good, he's looked assured, and as you know, somebody with that kind of experience, he's a leader as well, he's always worth having in the squad, and he's a very, very dependable pair of hands at centre-back. And now on to Ousmane Dembele, of course, our record signing, the man that we're so desperate to see, and the man that I think when he comes back into this team, we might see an entirely different outlook to our attacks. We might see some exciting football, we might see something a bit different from Valverde, we might see a set formation, and I think it all rides on Dembele coming back, not only the quality of the player that he is, but also the style, the way that he can keep his width, and the way that he can really help us in stretching opposition with his pace, and also his understanding of the game as well. And I'm really, really excited to see him return. Of course, it was so disappointing. He came in the summer, we were all really excited to see him. We saw him against Espanyol, he provided that brilliant assist for Luis Suarez, then he played in the Champions League against Juve, and then that game against Getafe, he hadn't played in the game long at all, he pulled up, and that was it then. It was a really, really serious injury. That too was a massive shock, you know, at the time. I really didn't expect it to be that serious. It came out after, of course, it was going to be months and months. He went for the operation straight away. Luckily, though, of course, it was a success, and that was really important. It was a thigh muscle rupture. That was the official term for his injury. He was going to be out until about halfway through January. That was the first sort of estimation on how long he would be out of action for, but I think right now, Ousmane Dembele is targeting the start of January. That's what it's always been said. Dembele has always been sort of searching towards being ready for the start of the year. 2018 is going to be a massive season for him. It's going to be a massive year for Barcelona, and I think that's when he's targeting his return. A lot of people are saying to me, and I do get that a lot, will Dembele be playing in El Clasico? That's the big question, and I'm going to say no. I said it before as well. I really don't think we should rush this. With this kind of injury, how delicate it can be, and also, you know, you've got to take into account he's so young as well. You've got to make sure that he recovers correctly, that he recovers himself, and you've got to bear in mind as well, if we can overcome Valencia on Sunday, if we can keep our lead going in La Liga, Real Madrid right now are, to be fair, absolutely nowhere near us in the league. If we can keep that lead going, there's nowhere near enough of a chance for me to risk Dembele in that Clasico. It might not be needed. We don't need to be risking somebody who could possibly aggravate that injury. You've seen it a few times with Gareth Bale with Real Madrid. We know how sort of injury prone he is. He's come back too early, he's rushed things, he's tried to play in Clásicos, and halfway through it, he's just broken down. Your body can't take it, and I think Dembele's got to come into this with the right attitude, and he's done everything right so far. He's taken things slowly. We saw him last week. He was out on the pitch, he was doing some individual training, and that's what he wants to be doing. He's been in the gym, he's been trying his best now to sort of move his recovery on, but he really doesn't want to be rushing anything. That is the most important thing here. Do not rush anything. Don't rush back quickly. We're all so excited to see him, but we don't want him back too soon. That is the bottom line here. Hopefully we can see Dembele at the start of next year. He can be fresh, he can integrate with his teammates, we can recover. Hopefully we can carry on where we left off with Dembele and see him, you know, exciting the team, giving us a different dimension. I'm really, really excited to see that, but I just don't want him to come back too soon. 2018, the start of 2018 is a really, really good guideline. I would stick on that. Make sure that he's listening, of course, to the medical professionals and all those guys at Barcelona, which will be giving him all the support that he needs right now. And when he comes back, believe me, we will be very, very glad to see him. And the final man officially on the injury list right now, and unfortunately for him has been on the injury list for some time indeed, is Rafael Alcantara. And not only him as well, his brother Thiago, of course, I was speaking about him just a few weeks ago. We were possibly going to look at him in the summer as a transfer. He's also been ruled out very, very recently for a serious amount of time. He's picked up a bad injury as well, and it just seems like Thiago and Rafinha, both of them together, I don't know what it is, but they're so injury prone. They can't stay fit, and it's a real shame because they both got quality. Obviously Thiago's the more developed player, he's certainly experienced, and he's certainly shown his quality, but I think Rafinha last season when he was breaking through, you know, he played against Atletico, he scored an important goal there, he came up with some big goals last season, some really good goals as well, and just when he was starting to kick on, once again that injury struck. It was a meniscus injury, he's had a few knee injuries, had a few operations, the first one didn't quite go to plan, that's why his comeback has actually been delayed. His new return is reportedly going to be at the start of next month, perhaps. We might see him at some point next month, but the problem with Rafinha is it's sort of every day as it comes. We're not quite sure right now how he's going to react to certain things. He's got to get himself back into training, he's got to see how his knee reacts, and that's the problem with it. Right now with Rafinha, it's a lot of guesswork, just like the last surgery he had on his knee. You don't really know how it's going to react, how it's going to heal, and it's a really, really difficult situation for him right now. He's gone through a lot. Credit to him, you know, you look at him on social media, on his Instagram, on his Twitter, he's always posting videos, he's always posting pictures of him really working in the gym, trying to get himself in the best possible condition, but the luck for him and his brother too just doesn't seem to be there sometimes, and it's a real shame. But hopefully we can see Rafinha back, if not next month again, at the start of 2018 would be nice. He would be a player that could come into the team and play in central areas, he can play wide, and he would actually be very, very useful to us in terms of versatility. We saw him last season under Luis Enrique, possibly when we played 3 at the back, he was happy to play wide, he could play in the middle as well, and I think under Valverde, particularly this season, we've used a number of formations that could be very, very useful indeed. So he's certainly a player that I think if he can get fit, he would actually be a use in this Valverde team. So overall, guys, very good news today to see particularly Sergio Roberto returning to full team training. Andre Gomes is there as well. It shouldn't be too long until we start to see Mascherano start integrating himself into first team training again. He will certainly be welcome back. As for Arda Turan, we've all got no idea, and I think until January we might see him leave the club if we're lucky, but I think right now Arda very much happy to pick up those very, very big wages with the board, obviously handed him with due pleasure. And also Dembele and Rafinha, hopefully we're going to see them by the very start of 2018, maybe before, who knows. So like I say, guys, if you ever have any requests at all, please do let me know in the comments down below. As the days go on, tomorrow I will have my official preview of the game against Barca and Valencia coming up on Sunday. That preview is going to be up on the channel tomorrow for you guys. A very, very big game in La Liga coming up, and there's going to be lots more build up and of course a reaction to that game coming up on the channel very shortly indeed. Thank you as always, guys, for joining me today. Leave your thoughts down below on everything I've mentioned. Do you agree with me on Dembele? Do you think you should definitely be trying not to rush back, or do you want to see him in the Clasico, whatever it takes? Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I will see you very, very soon indeed with more videos, but until then, as always, Vesca el Barça! 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 Barça!